Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be talking and showing you the newest, updated, and best jumper guide walkthrough video that ever there was. The last one we put out was essentially the gold standard for jumping. This new one we're putting out now is yet again going to be the gold standard for jumping. Definitely share this. It's going to be even more detailed than the one we did last time, adding in a few more important bits and also covering some of the new updates that have come around that really warrants this new jumping video that, again, is important for people that are either just starting or if you're planning to restart with the jumper. So we're going to be touching on quite a few things here. I'll be showing my background in jumping, my resume. We'll be showing or explaining what is a jumper account, solo versus joining a group. Do I have to start with a group on account creation day, or can I join a group later after they've already started? We'll talk about general account preparation, account creation, selecting the first kingdom, and then going to your final kingdom. There's going to be a lot of subpoints in between some of these, but that gives you an outline of what we'll be talking about today. You'll be able to follow along with the title cards that should be in chapters at the bottom of the video screen, where you see that timeline for the red bar. You can also go to the description of the video for timestamps in case maybe you just want to fast forward or go to a specific section. I'll also add a note at the very end that at this moment in time, we do have a current jump project going on. So for those of you that are interested in that, and obviously if it applies, depending on when you're watching this video, whether or not we're still in the prep recruiting phase or if we've already started, again, you can always find that information out at the end or by joining. Again, I'll give information then. Before I get started, officially, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell. And of course, if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description down below. Okay, now I can transition into casual mode. So the first thing that we are going to be discussing is going to be my background in jumping and a little bit of my resume. So let me just switch this over because I think this is always good to provide for those. I don't really know if anyone else that does jumper guide or walkthrough videos has a resume or kind of gives you any background into, how quality or how much kind of clout, if you will, experience do they have in doing these things to kind of give you the advice they're giving. But here's mine. And I'll just kind of highlight a few points here. So I started playing Kingdom Builders. This is just for this specific genre, by the way. Started playing Kingdom Builders back in 2013 with Game of War, for those of you who have played that, a few other games that I've played. And then my time in RoK, started kind of playing around 1194 for more kind of realistic, I guess, account play, more seriously, I should say. I did start a little before then, but then eventually when I started there, ended up kind of doing a jump as well to 1196, which later became the number 4 Imperium in the game. They held that for about 2 years. Again, I've done 8 projects so far. One of the things I want to be very clear here as well, because oftentimes I'll notice how some people kind of take the records as, completely, successful or not. And I want to be very clear for those people that have jumped. If you are a veteran in the jumping scene, especially if you've done more than one jump, that there are no guarantees in jumping. It does not matter how well prepared, how well oiled of a machine, how structured you are. The fact is that you can be met with arguably immovable obstacles that can happen in a few different ways. However, what I truly believe in is that the best way for jumper projects to be successful is by doing things in their preparation, in how they organize, what their structure is, how they choose people in management, how they have their hierarchy, what their kingdom goals are, how well they engage with their community / their group from jump recruiting or project phase all the way to final kingdom. Just to name some. These are controllable factors that can increase the percentage chance of success. Again, I do not believe that there are any guarantees and you have to work for everything that you want out of a project, out of your day-to-day playing experience, and it is a constant, but hopefully, at least for me and I would imagine some others, fun experience. So that I just wanted to preface, but for myself, I've always put my groups in the best position and best chances to be successful by doing a lot of work and investment in order to get to that point. And for those that have ever joined my projects, know that a lot of people that have joined my project have gone on to go and make their own projects, to lead their own projects, or to be alliance leaders in other people's projects. So I'm happy to say that a lot of my investment for my time spending doing jumps when I started back in 2020, a lot of people, if you want to say, have kind of graduated from my jumper school, if you will, and have gone out to make projects of their own, right? Some successful, some looking and seeking success. Okay, now let's go ahead and get back to the goodies here. So let's now touch on, all right, what is a jumper account? So a jumper account is, in short, an account that it's a brand new account that you make, and the objective is to just gather resources, doing things like gathering, leveling your commanders, doing PvE. Oh, gosh. Why do I feel like I'm leaving something else out here that's really simple? Gathering villages and caves, and a few other things that you're going to do with a brand new account. And you are doing it so you can essentially go in more leveled into a brand new kingdom where you are higher power and you have more resources collected and gathered than someone who's starting off with a brand new account from scratch, right? So you're going into a new kingdom with an advantage. That's really the whole purpose of a jumper account. Big point here is that obviously you want to stay at Castle Hall 7. You don't want to exceed that, but that's really the point of why people would do a jumper account, so you can get a little bit of a head start when you're going into a brand new kingdom compared to people who are just downloading the game and starting in that kingdom from scratch. Solo versus joining a group, number 3. My recommendation is to always join a group. There are only specific reasons I think you would want to go solo, and that's just 1, you don't want to be a part of a group. I think that's obvious. And then 2, if maybe you just want to test the waters and see what you can do, right? Maybe you just want to be a player, you want to be an officer, maybe you want to run an alliance, maybe you're just a big spender and you just want to, win all the events in that kingdom and you just don't want any rules, you don't kind of want to abide by anything, so it doesn't really do you any good to join a group. Those are maybe very specific reasons on why, but my recommendation is to always join a group, because even if you're a new player or newish player, you're going to learn more about the game, about the jumping process, and have more resources for the early, mid, and late game in RoK than you would if you were to solo jump and you're not really someone who's very research intensive. Then we get to, right, do I have to start with the group on day 1, right? Or can I still create an account afterwards? Short answer here is no. You do not have to start with the group on the day that they create accounts. You can join the group and create an account later. You can also create an account day 1 of their final kingdom that they go to. The reason why is because you do not need every single player in a project to have a jumper account. The whole reason you do a project, as far as in one way to explain, is all you need is a core group of players. You just need you need a portion of players that are going in with jumper accounts. So that way you can you can have a foundation. That's the word I'm looking for. You can have a foundation when you go into a new kingdom where you have this group of players that already have leveled accounts, right? You do not need every single player to do so. So again, one of the important parts there is that you can still join a project. As I said, on day 1 of the final kingdom, the important part here is that you find a group that fits what you are looking for. And then this kind of transitions into point number, I would say, well, the next point before I get to number 5, so this would be 5, is that I strongly recommend joining different projects. Go and compare, right? Find which projects are jumping around the time that you're looking to try and jump around, or just join a couple different projects and compare between them, right? Look at how do they send announcements? Do they hold meetings? How is their information structured? How does leadership communicate? Are people, how many people maybe talk in a group, right? I mean, obviously there's some areas I think are more important than others, but just going into a project and feeling it out, that's really important to do. Right? What I would say to never do is just to join a project and have that be the one you're loyal to right to the end. You join one project and that's it. You're not going to consider any others. Trust me, you're doing yourself a disservice. Always, always join multiple projects and stay in them for a little while, right? Maybe a couple days or a week or two, and then compare, right? See which ones feel to you that maybe they're more organized, read through what their goals are, how do they want to manage the kingdom. These are things that are going to be important for you. Now, if you're a brand new player, you may not necessarily know the specifics for what you're exactly looking for. But even if you're a new player, you can still decipher between which group feels and looks more organized versus another. And those are the types of things you want to do when you are looking to choose a group and decide which one to go with. Okay, now we get to account preparation. So account preparation, I think, is a great topic because this is something that will allow for you to boost your jumper accounts. And in short, the easiest way to do it is you make a throwaway account, specifically one you're not going to care to play after its use is up with or done. You would, for example, in this current situation, 2875 is the newest kingdom that has come out. You would make an account here, you'd level it up as fast as you can in a free-to-play way, and then you would use 2875 as the kingdom that your group would start out in. You would have a bunch of people make accounts there, and that way, by leveling the accounts, playing in the kingdom from day one, it's going to let you do things like collect Lohars from the Lohar event that you can summon for the jumper accounts. You can lead rallies for the jumper accounts on forts, and you can also go in and attack or, I guess, siege guardians at holy sites as well for extra EXP and other resources. So this is one of the best ways I think that jumper groups can really get on board. Even if you're just a solo player, right? This is something you can do as well, but something I'd strongly recommend doing. And we'll talk a little bit here about kind of selecting the first kingdom and what goes into that, because there are some restrictions based on new updates that have come out around jumping, and we'll touch on that in a bit. Okay, then now let's get into account creation. So with account creation, best thing you want to do here is you always want to utilize New Journey. Now, New Journey is a feature for if you have an old character in which you haven't logged into for a while, right? Remember, this is a character I have right now on my account. If I go to character management, you'll see these are all the characters I have, right? Ones that are pinned and not pinned. These are characters on my account. So you go into a character's account, you go into a character that you haven't logged into for a while. My recommendation is 3 to 4 weeks. I kind of do like a little squiggly plus or minus for 30 days, but some people have told me they've had it a little earlier. So you go into a kingdom on a character somewhere between 3 and 4 weeks, and it's going to allow for you to generate New Journey, right? So what you do is you make an account, you level it. I would recommend to City Hall 8. Some people say you don't have to, but I'm just a fan of doing that because I've always had consistent success that way. It only takes maybe about 10, 15, maybe 15, 20 minutes. It's not that long to do. And I should say if you're doing it efficiently, right? If you're a first timer doing it, it might take 20 to 30 minutes, I should say. But let me just select a kingdom. So I'll just go into 1027? Okay. So look, I'll go into 1027. And what you're going to see, hopefully, if this one works, and we don't have to try a second one, is you're going to get this visual prompt screen that comes up, and it'll basically say New Journey. And what this is going to do is allow for you to create a brand new account from this screen. Shockingly, okay, great, this one popped up the right way. Oh, I was scared for a second there. So this one comes up, you get the New Journey pop, and what it does is it's basically a incentivization. I'm just going to go with that. It incentivizes older players, or how the system perceives players who haven't played in a while, to come back into the game, and it's going to give them some resources. So you do this, and when everyone's ready to make the accounts, your group is saying, hey, we're going to start our account creations on this day and this time, right? You go in here to your old account on that day and time, and then this screen will come up. You would click go, and these are the free resources you're going to start with on this new account, right? So this is just another way to get ahead, where you'll get some food, you get some wood, red gems, which is nice, 5 gold keys, which is nice, and they even throw in a territorial teleport. So if you click go, it'll show you usually the newest kingdoms in this case. However, you can still choose any of the kingdoms, right? Or at least from what I understand. Let me see here. Yeah, 117, or never mind. I guess there actually are only specific kingdoms that you can choose. I actually thought you could choose any. So you actually might have to do a little bit of digging here. Yeah, see 25, 25. Yeah, so again, it'll be select kingdoms, but worst case, even if you can't, it doesn't look like they necessarily have every single one here. I'd actually have to go through the list maybe in a little bit more detail. But worst case is that you can always create your account in a brand new kingdom. But if you have the option to create it in an older kingdom, again, we'll talk about that in a sec here. But this is just something you always want to utilize, especially when you can. So just, again, bear that in mind, a nice little extra boosted start. So then I'm going to scroll out of here, let this reload, and then we'll get into choosing a kingdom. So choosing a kingdom is really important. And this is kind of what I was saying, that how this part is kind of connected with New Journey. So when you're going into choosing a kingdom, you need to make sure that you start off in a preparation season kingdom. And you also have to make sure that you're starting before EOTC ends. Within, this is before KVK1. So EOTC is Eve of the Crusade. This is a prep event before Kingdom vs. Kingdom / KVK starts. So usually you're starting somewhere around, like for example, you can see here for prep season, right? Everyone's prep right now. This kingdom is 71 days old, right? My recommendation is to start before day 70, but the best time to really start, if you're going to, when you're selecting a kingdom, is you either start day 1 of a brand new kingdom or you start around day 55. The reason why you would want to start around day 55 is because around this time is when the kingdom that you go into is going to have fog cleared. This is really important, because if you decide to go into a kingdom that has fog cleared, that is my recommendation. Now again, this is kind of where this asterisk comes in for New Journey, right? Like let's say you do those booster accounts and you're trying to utilize New Journey because you want to go to a kingdom, because you want to go to the kingdom in which your booster accounts are in, and it's not there. It's not the end of the world, right? I would just still say start a brand new account in that kingdom, because those resources that you're getting from New Journey are not the end of the world. Yes, if you can get them, of course do them. But otherwise, you would just start a brand new account without utilizing New Journey in that booster kingdom that you're going into with your jumper accounts. But the big part here is you either want to start on day 1 of a brand new kingdom, or you want to start around day 55. And as I said, that reason is because you want to utilize the monument reward here, which is Long Peace. So what happens is that once this time comes up for Long Peace, one of the unlocks that happens is clear all fog in the kingdom, right? This will happen a decent amount of time before EOTC starts in that kingdom prior to KVK1. So this will allow for you to have access to all the villages and all the caves in the kingdom where you do not have to go through the grind of clearing fog, right? And I'll give you an example. All of these here that you see, these are villages, the ones that look like houses, and the caves are the pyramids here. These are spread out throughout the entire map. And you want to go through these because they give you a lot of resources. So this is one of the benefits, especially if you're a newer player. You may be turned off by going and clearing fog, because it takes a while, right? I mean, if you're not grinding it every day, it could take you a couple days. It could take you 5 to 6 to 7 days, just depending on how much time you're investing into the game during that time. And so to alleviate some of that stress, some of that workload, my recommendation is to start in a kingdom using booster accounts. And then it's really just a matter of if you can use New Journey to get there or not, right? And then there's always the other option, even though that's my recommendation. The other option is that you can always create your accounts in a brand new kingdom, and there's nothing wrong with that either when it goes into there, right? Some of the benefits you'll get, really, like I said, some of the benefits you'll get for a new kingdom is that, given it's young, if you start there for your first accounts, for your jump accounts, right, you might have less chances of getting attacked, though I don't usually see that as a big problem. You'll also be able to have the guarantee of getting that kind of early Lohar event, even though you'll probably be able to grind more Lohar events going into the booster kingdom that way if you're using those accounts. So that's something to consider as well. And again, and then really the only other thing is that you'll have to clear fog in a new kingdom compared to going in an old kingdom where you don't have to go through that grind. The next part here, which is a special note that I have to point out based on one of the other new updates that they've added into jumping, is that you have to make sure that if you are going, for example, right, because this is something that we were doing up until a certain point. If I start my account, let's just say in 2816, let's just say this is the booster kingdom we've been prepping, right? 52 days, I'm going to start my account here. Fog is cleared, or maybe it's going to be cleared soon. And one of the ways you can check this is by just making a brand new account or a brand new character on one of the kingdoms, right? Unless you already have an account there, of course, in the booster kingdom, you'll know when it's coming up. But let's say this is the booster kingdom. I create my jumper account here. If I then go and let's say we're all going to 28. Let's say we're all going to 2875. Let's say the majority of us join and are able to get into 2875, because a kicker here is that you have a limit, right, where it says entry of governors with beginner's teleports not yet capped. If it's a green check, that means you can still go there utilizing your beginner teleport. If it has a red like this, that means that the cap has been exceeded. You've already got enough players in there using your beginner teleport, and it's turned off now. Now, no one else can come in here using the beginner teleport, and you'd have to wait for a new kingdom. So let's say majority of people get into 2875, but you still have some people left. They could wait. So what we were doing before is you'd wait for 2876, the next kingdom to come out. You'd go there, and then you would buy a migration item, a passport, to then go back to 2875 after you leveled that account to Siege 16. This has changed. Now, how it reads is, and I'll show you here, I have to go to a little bit of an older kingdom, I think. Okay, so this is how it reads now, and this is a very important distinction. Your character's starting kingdom, not your current kingdom, cannot be over 10 days older than your destination kingdom, right? And this is where they just added in more language to that, because that specific piece of language, along with the quotations, was not in there before. So essentially what this means is that if, let's say you wanted to make sure you got yourself a guarantee, like you don't know if you're going to be able to log in, day and time. Now, with how things are currently working, there is a number of hours that goes into how long it's going to be open for. So there is some margin, there is a lower margin of error for you to be able to get your accounts in. And typically in projects, the majority of players will always get into the final destination or designated kingdom. But if you don't want to take that route, you can start in a brand new kingdom, right? Like let's say we wanted to go to 2875. Well, I would start 2875 is started here. I would make sure I started in something like 2867, right? Like I want to have 7 days or something. So I have another day cushion period between when the next kingdom is going to come out, which would be 2876. That means that if I go to 2876 because the cap has filled in 2875, I go there, I'm still within 10 days, I'm under 10 days, and now I can go ahead and level the account to CH16, buy my migration teleport or passport, or grind it through credits if you're free to play, and then still be able to go back to 2875. So I just wanted to point that out as a disclaimer, because that's really important, because I've been seeing people that will start off in older kingdoms and they'll go to a kingdom and they can't use the migration teleport to get to their designated kingdom because the cap is filled already. So that's something I think that is really important to touch on. Okay, next here, we're going to get into, what do I have next? So this is just selecting your kingdom. We kind of talked about that. Do you want to go to a new kingdom? Do you want to go to an older kingdom, and the benefits? So now let's touch on picking a civilization, right? So we're going to do, I'll just do it this old-fashioned way. So we'll go in and we're going to take a look at civilizations. So here, we'll look at, where are they all? Here we go. Awesome. So let's go ahead and switch screens. So switching screens here, we're going to show you, actually, you know what? I can probably show you here. Let me see if I can do, here we go. Cool. So I can show you the civilization. This is actually a lot easier to do on this one. So you'll see here that this is kind of how your initial screen. So when you go into create a new account, this is what will pop up initially for you to select. I will say here when it comes, I have 3 civilizations that I recommend people choosing. And I'm also going to give you a priority order that I recommend. And I'm going to explain the reasons why. So the 3 civs are going to be Germany, China, and Britain. Let me start first off with what I think would be the third choice. So you have Britain. Boudica is your starting commander. You get, which is also a Peacekeeper, and that helps with PvE, going out and doing barbarians and forts, and then other PvE-related events or obstacles, sites on the map. Increases for Britain, you have increases archer attack by 5%, troop training by 5%, and ally garrison 20%. So really the only relevant percentage here for the most part is pretty much the troop training speed by 5%. That's the one that's going to be constant because it's going to apply to everyone, or to it's going to be like a full application, right? Increasing archer attack, that's specific per that troop, right? So it's not, even though you're getting 5%, because most of the time you're going to have mixed marches, especially when you're just starting out. I should be very specific and say that isn't always going to be the case end game, but early game, the bonuses here are just not as good as the other two. So then we'll get into what is my true favorite pick, and this is probably what I would put at the number 2, is Germany. The reason I say Germany, because I like to go off relevancy percentages. So when you're talking about increases cap percentages, it's kind of the same thing as what the Archer one was there for Britain. But you have 5% troop training, right, which is something you also get with them. But the big kicker is that you get 10% action point recovery. This is big, and that's a very good, healthy percentage, because action point recovery is extremely important throughout really the entire game, along with troop training. You could argue that action points and troops are arguably the two most important resources in the game. So this is why I give them a 15% of kind of relevancy, where Britain is 5. And then you get to China. China is Sun Tzu, Herman, and let me just briefly say, right, with Herman, right, Commander is okay, but not going to be as good as I would say Boudica, and more so Sun Tzu when it comes to how you're going to use the commanders. Sun Tzu, from what I would say many argue, is the best epic commander, if not near the best epic commander that you can use. Especially if you're kind of looking at it from a free-to-play perspective or just starting commander as well. Right, you have increased troop defense. That's a flat percentage, so that's applicable because that will apply to everyone regardless of troop type. Action point recovery is 5%. And then the other kicker here is building speed by 5%, right, which is a decent percentage. So that's something important to take note of. That's usually why you'll see people start China, and then some would do something like, switching to Korea, because then you'll get the 3% research speed. You're usually going to finish buildings before you actually finish your academy tech. So you would do something like go China. Once you hit CH25 for all your buildings, you switch to Korea so you can maximize some of the tech percentages, and then you might switch to either someone like Germany for the troop training and the action point recovery, or you would go with more of a specific kind of micro pick for endgame, where you might do something like, Rome for infantry, right? You might do someone else. Gosh, I have to think right now of who else you might, right? Someone, again, maybe like Vikings, where you get infantry attack, counterattack damage, right? Things that might be more PvP related stats. That's really where I'm going with this. So that's something just to point out. So in that case, my recommendation, if you're brand new, I would say go China, as really that's kind of an easy pick for someone you can transition. For my ballsier people out there, I like Germany because I think the amount of troops that you're trying to train, if you're looking at how much training can you do from day one up until KVK, that factors in a lot, especially if you have many people that pick that over a period of time. I wish I could show the numbers because I did do it once upon a time. But again, those are my recommendations on picking civs and some of the pros and cons going into those. Now let's talk about kingdom types. So kingdom types is really important because there's 4 different kingdom types that you have when you're going in. This typically starts from, again, you have 8 kingdoms per continent, and kingdom types are pretty easy, right? It goes A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And that's how it works. You got 4 types. It goes top, down, left, right. Or if you started from the newest kingdom, right, you would go A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. It doesn't really matter what area you go because it doesn't really matter if it's A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4. What matters is that you just know that that's how the groupings and the pairings work. And the reason why this is important is for 2 reasons. One is more important than the other, is that if you notice the map here, right, you see these islands here where it looks like this, and you have 2 off. If I look at this one, wait, hang on, where am I going here? Yeah, so Amdo 5, yeah. So you'll notice here that it looks different, right? So this is kind of like a longer island, top down. If I click on this one, This one is wide. Same thing, number 5 and number 5. So what happens is that the map rotates 90 degrees clockwise for each of the different types. So that's one of the things to note. The other thing to note is that you don't want to end up landing in the same kingdom type as another. An example of this is that you wouldn't want to go to 2865 and then 2869. The reason why, when it comes to your first kingdom versus your second, is that you would lose out on the ability to capture villages and caves for a second time. If you capture all the villages and caves in 2865, which this would be an A-type kingdom or a 1, and then you were to go to 2869, all of those villages and caves would already be gathered or captured or searched. So you wouldn't be able to double up on those. So that's really important of a distinction to make. Okay, now let's get into playing in the first kingdom, right? Now, playing in the first kingdom, for the most part, is pretty easy enough. Really, you're going to be focusing on a few things. Number 1, you don't want to go past City Hall 7. That is probably the most important one here. It's okay to use one contract builder if you want, which would allow for you to do 2 building queues at the same time. Because really the main objective here is to try and get to City Hall 7 and all your other buildings to 7 respectively as well as fast as you can, because then you'll start being able to get the max training that you can out of your barracks, which is one of probably the biggest things that you really want to try and take advantage of. You do not want to use any speed ups. You do not want to use any RSS items. Only use teleports if absolutely necessary. And when you make a new account, it'll tell you, right, which ones you can use or not. And I think we made a new character in one of the newest kingdoms, so I might be able to give you guys an example here, which I think was, what did I say, 2875? Yeah. So I'm going to show you 2875 here, and I'm going to log in here. I'm just going to show you what the items look like, because this will help, just so you don't accidentally click on one versus another. So we'll let this load up for a sec, and then the rest that I'm going to be touching on here is going to be a little bit easier. The bulk of the stuff really was that in the beginning. So we'll click on items. We're going to see the nice fancy lady go, and we're going to go to other. So when you go here, you're going to see 2 primary items. Contract builder, right, which activates the second building queue for 2 days, as we mentioned. You unlock this at VIP 6, and then you have a beginner's teleport and a beginner's immigration. You'll notice here that you have a 10-day timer, right? This account I made a couple hours ago. And then you have a beginner's teleport. The difference here is that the teleport, move your city to one of the outermost provinces of this kingdom. Unused beginner teleports will be removed once your city hall reaches 8. So what this means is that it would allow for me to move my account. You can see here in the top right of the map. I'm in this province now. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here. I'll show it this way. This will be a lot easier. So I'm currently located here in Doomsland. That beginner's teleport would allow for me to go to one of these Zone 1 provinces, labeled 1 through 6 in the Roman numericals. Then, if we go in, you'll notice I'll just show you how the. Oops, I think I just clicked on alliance there. We'll go back to other. And this is what the beginner's immigration item looks like. This is the one you're going to use to eventually go to your designated kingdom, or your final kingdom in this case. So it says, move your city to the location of your choice in one of the outermost provinces of another nascent kingdom. Unused beginner's immigration items will be removed once your city hall reaches level 8, or once Season 1's Eve of the Crusade has begun. That's why we were saying EOTC for KVK Season 1. Okay. Now that we have that out of the way, again, as we mentioned, the faster that you get to CH7, right, faster you'll be able to start max training your barracks. The next one here is that you do want to join an alliance. That's really important because it's going to help you get the most amount of helps that you can get early on. And that's really what you want to maximize, right? So you don't want to use any of your really items, but you want to join an alliance early on. And especially if you're in a group, you're probably going to have assigned alliances that you're going to go to. Or if you're solo, you just want to join a group and try to get the most amount of helps that you can, because again, the objective is by getting helps, it reduces your build time, meaning you're able to get all of your buildings to CH7 a lot faster. Then the order that you want to upgrade, even though you can make the argument it's not really too relevant, but if you just want to kind of work on maximizing, I would say you go castle or your city hall, alliance center, tavern, academy, siege barracks, and then the rest of the barracks. The reason why I say siege barracks first is because you want to try and get as many some early siege pumped out so you can get max gathering loads or loadouts when you're sending your marches out to go and do that. And again, you can vice versa, right? It's not that big, but if you just want to do that, you're more than welcome to. The next big thing here is do not claim side quests, right? So side quests look like this. You don't want to go here and collect the side quests. Leave the side quests alone. The reason why is because majority of the time, the side quests are converting into actual resources that are going to go in here, right? You have and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you have a cap on how many resources you can take with you from the first kingdom to your home kingdom or to your final destination kingdom, right? Now, it's okay to gather these types of things, right? If it's just a basic reward or something like that, that's fine. But if you see food, wood, stone, even gold, right? Any of these things that actually show up as an icon, do not select those side quests. Wait to collect those once you get to Final Kingdom. Okay, next one here, it's a lot. Next one here is going to be when you're searching caves, right? So when we talked about villages and caves, the important part here is that when you're doing that, and I don't know if there's going to be a lot here, but in short, we talked about it, right? You could see caves, which is the, again, cave-looking icon. You can also see it here on the left column of the screen. You can click on all the villages you want. Doesn't matter. You do all villages. With caves, you only want to do a specific number. So with caves, you want to do 60 high. That's 60. You want to do 120 or 120, 120 medium caves. And then you want to do about 40 low caves. You want to try and end that number at about 220 caves gathered, right? So really keep up to date on this. You do not want to gather all of the caves. The reason why is because once you hit 400 caves gathered, the next cave that you gather after that will only generate you a low cave reward. There's 3 different types, high, medium, and low. You want to make sure that you're maximizing on the amount of high and medium caves that you can get because those give you the best rewards for caves. So you do that number so you have 180 left when you get to the final kingdom. So then you can search 60 high, 120 medium, and then you can do the rest of the lows. But this allows for you to maximize on the amount of highs and mediums you can do between the 2 kingdoms. So that's really important. As we said, for villages, just do all the villages. When it comes to academy, right? So let me touch on Academy real quick. I don't know if I'm going to be able to build it this early. I might have to switch accounts here just to show you. But in short, right, I'll just say this. The most important part with the Academy is that you want to focus on the military tech side. Do not research anything on the economy side of it. And I might be able to go to a little bit of a younger account here. That is 13. Oh, you know what? I can probably just go to one of these. So the reason why is because as you're searching villages, some of the villages will give you economy techs for free. So you do not have to research those. So again, just focus on researching the military side of the tree until you pretty much have all that done, or until you start noticing that you're not getting any more economy techs. And then you can go back and do the economy side of the tree. And I think I can show you this real quick. So here's your academy. This is what it looks like. Here's economy. It says it at the top. Here's military at the top. You want to do military as much as you can. And then if either you finish military, go back and do economy, or as I said, if you notice that you're just not getting any more economy techs from villages, then you can go and start doing economy. Then we get to the warehouse. The warehouse is pretty simple, right? You have a storage capacity limit that you just cannot exceed for these. So that's really the most important part, is that, right, you want to keep all of your resources. You don't want to use any resources, which are going to be these items, right? You want to save as much of these as you can. So you really need to focus more heavily on gathering in order to compensate for that. Then we're going to talk about commanders. My recommendation really is to focus on peacekeeping commanders over gatherers initially, and that's just to try and level them up to a certain point. Gatherers, really you want to level them to 37 for specific reasons, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to show all the reasons here, so I'm going to go on my main account just to show this off so I can give you guys a little bit better of a visual aid. But the reason I say that it's good if you want to focus on Peacekeeper commanders early is because you're still going to be able to gather, bear in mind, you're still going to be able to gather resources with any commander, right? It's just you'll gather them faster with gatherers. But if you start leveling up Peacekeepers, this will allow for you, even if you just level them to a certain point, right? You eventually want to level gatherers that you get to 37. Now, I know some people, and I even used to say this, where I would say, hey, focus on gatherers over peacekeepers. Just get all your gatherers to 37, then start leveling up in your peacekeepers. The thing is that you're going to be able to get more EXP from leveling your peacekeepers, from going out there and hunting and attacking barbs and doing more PvE battles faster than you would if you invested in your gatherers. So that's why I think it's a lot better to focus on leveling peacekeepers rather than his gatherers. And I'll show you what I mean here. When you go to your commanders, you'll notice that when you're clicking on a commander, they have certain kind of baseline traits. One of these is peacekeeping. This commander excels at defeating barbarians and other neutral units. These are the PvE units, right? So these are things that are really important when it comes to what you're going to focus on early. So really focus on these early peacekeeping commanders, and I'll just show you some here, or I'll give you a list of some. So you have, again, Cow, you got Cleopatra, right, you got Ethelfled. Let me see who else I have here. I have to attempt to remember names. You got Boudica, Lohar, that's someone that we named before, Belisarius, Markswoman's a peacekeeper, Minamoto's a peacekeeper. Yeah, let me make sure I'm not missing anyone here, because I can already see myself doing that. Mulan, that's another one. I don't know where my Mulan is. Here we go. Mulan's another peacekeeper. I wish I had all these memorized. Let's see, Kira, Deo-chan, and I think we showed the rest. Montezuma, Kira, and Deo-chan. Let me see here if I have Montezuma, Kira, Deo-chan. I wish I had these ones memorized. Let me see here, Montezuma. That is not Montezuma. It's in purple, this Kira. Oh, here. No, it's Theodore. I wish I had these icons memorized more better. Here we go. Montezuma's a peacekeeper. And other ones. I know Kira is epic. And Theo-chan. Okay. I'm not sure. But Kira is another one here. And, oh, Dio-chan is epic. Okay, I thought she was legendary. So, yeah, so that's all the peacekeepers, right? And in short, easiest way to really do this is the moment that you get a peacekeeper, right, whoever it is, just start leveling them to 37. The main reason why, and I'm going to show this to you here, is because you want to level as you increase their EXP, and I'll just give you an example here. Let me just take someone that doesn't really have a lot. So you'll see here that I can hit the plus. You're going to collect these tomes of knowledge, and these are going to allow for you to increase EXP outside of when your commanders are going out and attacking. So the important bit here is you want to level the talents here, and you want to, well, hang on, sorry, I need to do one that's an actual peacekeeper. Here we go. So here's Mulan. So you go into the peacekeeping tree, and you want to try and get to where you're able to max out for Curring Chant, and then also the important one here, which is Insight. This is reduces action point cost to attack barbarians and neutral units by 10, right? You want to have this selected for, for your primary, because this is going to help you save AP. And ideally, if I can show you a full tree here on, let me see, here we go. So I'll show you just kind of how I have my Lohar set up. So, right, you can see here that I've gone all the way here into the thoroughbreds, right? You can go all the way if you want here and just kind of do a max load to Curring Chant. However, this is how you do it, right? Again, the most important ones really is Insight, is Trophy Hunter, right? Because you get additional resources as well when you defeat barbarians. And those are the important ones, right? You can see even how I have, let me see if I can show you how I have a few others, right? Even same thing with Ethel, right? So like Ethel, I only have it up to here, and then I've kind of done, a different skill tree, just depending, right? These aren't going to necessarily be the most up to date. Let me point that out. But if you're going peacekeeping early, I would say those are the really important ones. Is you want to go Insight, you want to go Trophy Hunter, because those are going to help out a lot. And then these are just some of the additional ones you can do. Again, I think it's okay to go Curring Chant, but I do just think these are the most important ones too on the side that you can do, because they're going to help you with just gaining a lot of those initial resources early on, and especially help those peacekeepers more so going into that early to mid game. So again, just to kind of give you an example on how you can set that up. Let me see how I have Boudica set up. Yeah, so Boudica, see, I don't even have set up the entire way, just because, again, to try and maximize other areas. But in the beginning, as I said, those are the two most important. Then, and also, let me point out the reason why there's specific commanders for Peacekeepers you want to focus on leveling first, more so than others, just depending on who you get. These ones are going to be Ethelfled, Mulan, Montezuma, Boudica, Diochan, and Lohar. The big reason why is because these commanders give you secondary experience gain for your additional commanders, right? Because you can have 2 commanders per march. So it says both commanders gain 20% bonus experience from defeating barbarians. Those are the 6 immortals you want to try, or six commanders, excuse me, getting confused with another game, that you want to focus on in order to take advantage of those things. So you can level your commanders faster, right? So if you can hold off waiting until maybe you get a Boudica, right? Or you unlock a Lohar, especially if you're going into a boosted kingdom, those are things that are going to help out a lot more, and you'll feel a lot better about investing in those commanders. However, if you just absolutely have to invest in someone, then kind of starting lower, right, rather than going higher, right, where you might look at someone like a Markswoman or a Belisarius, right, with them being purple and green, right, that might be an easier, trek to do. Then we get into, let me touch on gatherers. So for gatherers, right, this is kind of priority order of low to high, or sorry, excuse me, I think it's high to low, is, right, you have Cleopatra, which is here, right, for gathering. Who else do we have? We have Syndiok and Ishida, which, let me scroll down, Syndiok, right, so I got Syndiok, Gatherer, Ishida, Mitsunari, Gatherer. We have Joan of Arc, Matilda of Flanders. I think my Joan is up here. Bam. Matilda, I think she's perp. Matilda of Flanders, another gatherer. We have Queen of Tamar of Georgia and Constance. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I have the Queen unlocked yet, but here, I'll just show you these ones, right? So you got Gatherer for Centurion, Sarka Gatherer, Gaius Gatherer, Constance Gatherer. And then the Queen of Georgia. Oh, man, I'm not. Here we go. Whew. Shocking. I recognize the avatar. Queen Tamar of Georgia, right? Another gatherer. So these are the gatherers that you're going to focus on. And the best way to really look at what they specialize in is clicking on their skills. I can see here that this commander focuses more percentage on wood and then kind of a general for other resources. So really the best way to try and level these ones up, and I'll just kind of give you a brief example here, is you would level, let me do it like this, yeah. So what you would do is I would go in and where's my, hang on, I gotta find someone who's already kind of 20 over 20 if I can here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here we go. So here's an example, right? Once you get to max level, that's for 1 star. I would have to go here to upgrade and allow them to get to the 2nd star. That would then increase my level cap from 10 to 10 out of 20. That also unlocks the next skill, right? So 1 star is for the first skill, 2 for that, 3, right, and so on and so forth. And then obviously there's special requirements for getting the ultimate. But that, in short, that's what you have to do. You have to increase the star level to get to the next skill. So when it comes to gatherer skills, you want to try and level that commander enough to a minimum to where it unlocks the gathering skill. And then at that point, you're just going to upgrade. Then you're just going to work on upgrading those skills. And depending on where it falls, like let's say, again, for example, right, you're only going to a certain point, right, you would just click upgrade, and then really you're just taking a chance at which one it goes to. But you'd rather have a higher chance by leveling up only up to their gathering skill than if you just were to unlock all the skills and level the commander up all the way. So that's a nice little point there, because you want to try and max out your gathering skill to 5 before you start investing into other skills. And that's a good little tip because it will help you. Okay. And then I think, last thing is just going to be gathering talent builds here, right? So I don't forget. So gathering talent builds is where you do want to go all the way. And I think that's where a little bit of my confusion was happening earlier, is you want to go all the way. This is how your gathering tree should look with what you're going for, right? You want to try and make it to superior tools, which increases gathering speed of all kinds of resources by 25%. And that's what I was saying earlier when it comes to kind of leveling, right? You want to try and reach 37 for the level in order to be able to get this, and then for anything additional that you do afterwards. But that's an important thing for how you want to set those up for your gathering commanders. And then we could talk a little bit about Expedition. So Expedition, or your campaign, is where you'll go to, and you'll get access to this early on. You'll go campaign Expedition. This is where you're going to go, and again, I haven't played in a while, so it's not that high currently, but you're basically going in here and you're challenging these, right? So you go in here, you would select your marches on your jumper account, and then you're just basically trying to beat as many of these missions as you can, and you're trying to get as high as you can as well. These are free rewards that you'll get every day. You can see here's rewards I select, and you can also start looking at things like investing to try and get Ethelfled, right? That's a way to get a legendary early on as a free-to-play, and other resources in there as well. So anyways, with that, that's something that is good to do for your expedition, and you just want to try and do that every day to see how far you can advance. The next thing here is going to be the Courier Station. So Courier Station, I think, is really important. Once I find it here, it's this one, kind of the Esmeralda, right? The gypsy-looking image. And you click on this as Courier Station. You want to purchase everything in the Courier Station that is only resources. Do not use any gems here. And the order, you can see there's resources, speed-ups, depending on the row. The order you want to go in here is 2, 4, 3, 1. Speed-ups is 2, other is 4, boost is 3, and then basic resources is 1. That's the order that you want to go in. You can make an argument for going resources over boosts, but I kind of like boosts over resources. And this is why it's important to gather as much as you can and not using any of your RSS items, right? You really want to go off of gathering. That would be fantastic. So do that for your Courier Station. And again, just check that often. And every single time it comes up, always try to max purchase everything in there that you can. Then we'll get to the VIP shop. So VIP shop is here, and it has the little wings here with the V in the middle. This is something that's really important to try and purchase. When you get to VIP 2, you're going to be able to, right, so obviously you want to do basic action points. You want to try and max purchase this, 5-minute speed ups. You want to always try to max purchase that. You want to do the, once you get to VIP 2, I believe it's, the basic AP for 12K food. When you get to VIP 3, that's when you'll get access to the 5-minute speed ups. You also get access to the equipment choice mats for 10K food, right? Again, you can max purchase these. VIP 4 is where you'll get access to the purple scalps. That's these ones for 60K. You want to try and max purchase these. These are probably more important than maybe going with the early equipment chest, so you might do that before. VIP 5 is where you'll get legendary, I believe this is legendary sculpt stars for the 400K, right? And if you're able to do these, then that is great as well. Purchasing max for these is going to be important. And then you have the blueprint fragment choice chest for 10K food. And let me see where those ones are. Did I just miss that? Oh, maybe they switched that up, huh? And I'm totally, here we go. I think this is it right here, which is the blueprint stars, unless I went too far. And then you have the ones for 20K food. Yeah, okay, so I'm good here. So these ones would be VIP 5 and VIP 6, right? But the most important ones, really, if you have to go off in an order, is going to be your basic AP, your 5-minute speed ups, your purple sculptures, and then your gold sculpts, right? Those are the 4 things you should focus on purchasing before you then dive into anything else. Okay. Then we're just going to talk about kind of basic AP usage. So AP you can find here, which is going to be this button, right? And you can see here that you recover your points, right? It's always constantly going up. You want to be using your AP to go out and fight barbarians, right? So you're selecting your march. You're going to see here that it's going to cost a certain amount of AP, right? This is how many troops I have and what I'm selecting. And then you're going to click go out or march to go and attack in short, right? You want to try and use all of your your daily AP that you can. If you're able to do some forts each day, great. But the most important thing is making sure that you're using your AP right every single day so you can maximize on your return on investment. The next thing here is setting up a farm alliance. So setting up a farm alliance is going to be something that I think is really important for those of you that want to max in addition. The best way to really do this is to make sure that you have already hit CH7 and you have all of your buildings at 7. And then once you do that, you would go in, right, in this case, I would leave my alliance, right, which you would do, after you do that, you make another account, you make another character on that same kingdom, or you can use your booster account or character that you've already made. You go and make a alliance with that character. You then take your jumper account and you join that alliance, and then you leave the alliance, you transfer leadership, and you leave the alliance with your booster account. This will allow for you to do your daily donations to where, and I'll just kind of give you an example, right? So you do your daily donations and then you'll get something, a report that'll pop. And I don't know if I have one here that I can show you, but there usually is one. Here we go. This is it, right? It's the daily donation rankings. So if you place at the top of these, you'll get a bunch of extra resources as well. And if you're the only person in the alliance, then guess what? You're going to end up pretty much getting all of the rewards there. So that's why the moment that you hit all your stuff to CH7, go and try and make a alt alliance or just a farm alliance. And that way you can then create it with your booster account, give it to your jumper, leave that alliance with your booster account so your jumper's left over, and then go ahead and have enjoy reaping some additional rewards. And then we're almost done here. We get to gift codes. Gift codes are things that you can search on Discord, in-game chats, mails, Reddit, Facebook, etc. Gift codes are pretty often, right? They happen pretty often. So again, consider looking for gift codes to enter, and you would basically go here top left, you go settings, and then you would go to redeem, and you're going to enter in the digit key. Those are nice ways for you to get gift codes, whether you get those on your jumper or even after that as well, once you get to Final Kingdom and you're able to progress past 8. Okay, and now for the very last thing here, and I appreciate all of you hanging out with me this long. Again, it just kind of goes to show you that there's really no way that you can make a short video about the actual jumper process if you truly want to understand it, right, in a very hopefully detailed and easy to understand way. The last part here is going to be the Final Kingdom. So in Final Kingdom, this is where you can finally level past CH7, right? You're jumping to your correct province. You're going to join the alliance that you've been assigned to, or if you're solo jumping wherever, you're going to use speed ups on Academy and Barracks. And you're, again, going to do that when needed. Most important part here is only you have to have max helps before you use speed ups. That's the most important part here. Other thing is you can't research or train, while buildings are upgrading. So always be sure to try and time those things out. Where you have, where you can kind of look at your downtime for when you need to upgrade something or how long you have left. For example, you may want to work on building or researching things that are 8 plus hours when you're sleeping, for example. So be sure that you're doing those types of things so you're not finishing a building or something that is still going on, or finishes while you're sleeping. Look to maximize your downtime or when you're going to be off. That's another really big tip I could give you. Then, trying to kind of reach for the power event. Best thing I can say there is when you're trying to reach for those early accolades, if you have to hit certain power levels, train a lot of T1s. Because with T1s, you get a 1-to-1 power ratio. When you're training T2s or higher, the ratio goes down where it's not a 1-to-1. You're going to get some depreciation on that. And then after that, another good thing is that the best value when you're training for other types of training events, right, is when you're doing T3 and then you're upgrading T3 to T5. So that's another really good tip that I could give you. Other than that, the way that you kind of want to min-max your upgrades is that you want to go off of your castle, your alliance center, scout camp, your tavern, your academy. Again, you would only do academy. You would only do this before the scout camp if you need to level for the next priority tech. So it's kind of dependent. But then after that, you're doing your castle prerequisites to get to the next level. And so, again, those are the important things. Then we kind of get to tech pathing. So let me kind of show you a brief thing here for Academy on how you would do this. The order you really want to go in is masonry, writing, engineering, and mathematics. You want to do everything you can to min-max to get to these because it's going to save you the most amount of time in the long run. Masonry reduces or increases building speed. Writing increases research speed in the Academy, which is what these are. And then you'll get to engineering. This is the max one here for building speed to reduce that time. And then same thing for mathematics is what it does it for research. So you want to do the minimum amount of techs, focusing on getting to these. Once you get these to max, then anything you do after that, you're going to get the best return on value for the amount of time you're going to spend with a building queue or a research queue. And then I think we're at the very last. I said, wait for max helps before using speed ups, right? Find caves and villages, but just remember to kind of do them in that high, medium, low order. Okay, so that rounds this out. I am finally done. I'm shocked we're coming up to about an hour. I did not expect to be doing this video for this long. I really hope that you guys enjoy, you appreciate, I'm hoping I covered everything. The most important thing that I hope I did was not miss too much, because there is a lot. I have an outline that I'm going off of, so I can make sure that I am trying to hit everything for you guys. Because again, jumping can be really fun, especially if you get in with a great group. There's a lot that goes into it. And I hope that this video did a good job of really highlighting and explaining in a detailed way, and hopefully an easy to understand way through me explaining, to where you will now be able to make the most out of your new playing/jumper account experience coming into Rise of Kingdoms. Lastly, I know I was going to mention about our jumper project. Ours is looking to start early to late August. That's just tentative, but you can always get information by joining our Discord if you're interested in that. Outside, I am done. Man, finally finished with this one. Need some more water. And yeah, that's going to be it for me. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, we'll catch you later.